All right, guys. Welcome to Friday Night Live. It's March 1st. I was about halfway through yesterday when I realized it was a leap day. But I'm not one of those people who counts it as an extra day because the whole way our calendar is set up is very strange and makes no sense anyhow. So it was just another day, but I did have a good one. And I got a lot done. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Appreciate you guys dropping in tonight. Lots Project is here. Good to have you, Brian. Pinky is here. We have met her on several occasions. She comes up here to our gatherings, which is awesome. Hopefully, you can make it out on Sunday. And she's got a wonderful channel as well. So make sure you look her up. And we got Mr. Ping. Mr. Ping. I need to catch up with you how the water stuff is going, the runoff with the down there by your greenhouse. So, yep, March 1st. That was, you know how everybody said February or January was like a year long. I felt like February was like over in a week or two. My season kind of started early, which was fine because I was ready to get some stuff done. So February went quick, and spring is gonna be here. Gonna be here soon. And we got Lisa Davis. Good to see you, Lisa. Thank you for dropping in. Lisa is a wonderful lady. One of the first ones I met from our, well, actually, I think we met before we officially had the Freedom Cell here in the Knoxville area, but she is a lady to talk to if you want to know about Nigerian dwarf goats and many other things. Oh, let's see. So let me catch you up about last weekend real quick, because I know I mentioned it, but it's happened since then. So I went to a creek bank repair workshop that was put on by the UT Ag Extension and a whole bunch of partners. And so this was on Saturday. So yeah, I talked about it, but I hadn't done it yet. This was one of those times where I was really glad that I had gone, and I was very happy with the use of my time and what I had paid to be there. So the first half of the day was basically a it was PowerPoint stuff, but we actually had people who were engaging and interesting and good questions. None of those people who kind of drive you up the wall when you're in kind of meetings of that sort. So without getting super long in this, because I'm probably going to do a video just dedicated strictly to this. The creek bank repair stuff was of interest to me because while we don't actually have property or creekside property, my property drains to a little creek called Plum Creek, which is a tributary to Beaver Creek, which goes to Melton Hill Lake, which is a reservoir and a portion of the Tennessee River. So I have a lot of interest in how water moves, what happens when it moves too fast or causes issues. And because I do, earthworks and consult on earthworks, I like to think about how our impact on a hillside doing earthworks results in hopefully better creeks downstream. The main focus of this was using live cuttings of native plants to stabilize a creek bank. So the classroom portion that we went out and did at the park, that's more or less across the street from my farm, was to take a whole bunch of, in this case, we had elderberry, silky dogwood, buttonbush, and a few other native shrubs, along with some trees, like some bare root trees and some ground cover, which I didn't really plant the ground cover, so I forgot what that was, but it was basically some kind of, native perennial ground cover. And we went all alongside this little tributary and just basically just park this stuff in the ground. And when we're talking about putting cuttings in the ground, we're talking about, an 1.5 inch, 2 inch diameter cuttings that we're using a rubber mallet to hammer in. So we're really getting them in there, 50% or more of these cuttings so that they have every opportunity to get rooted. And then the other really cool thing that we did was we made a taco. So some people call this an erosion blanket. there's a lot of different ways of going about this, but basically you get a roll of biodegradable material. In this case, this is made from coconut fibers, and it's woven together. You can get them in different lengths and different widths, but you roll it out along the portion of the creek bank that is eroding or is in danger of eroding. And you use a whole bunch of just hardwood wooden stakes, stake it in place. You fill the bottom with small sticks, leaf matter, and anything biodegradable that's not going to float. You take that bottom half and you just fold it up just like a taco, and you stake it in place again. And we were shown all kinds of before and after repair photos where this was one of the techniques performed. So I was looking at this because under the right circumstances, this is something that I could offer as part of my business. And I kind of like working around water too. And this is something that you do in the cold weather season. This is a strictly wintertime activity in terms of getting your cuttings to root and things of that sort. So this, like I said, this was put on by UT. You should be able to see a link. They had all kinds of online resources. There's a link in the chat I threw up there. So if you have creekside property, or if you have customers who have creekside property and you're seeing erosion, this is an option. Now, there is some regulatory stuff to be navigated. Basically, if you are high up on the bank and you're not doing anything that changes the flow of that water, generally speaking, you do not need to get permits from the state or the Army Corps of Engineers or anything like that. And if you're not certain, there's, of course, various channels you can go through to double check. Because it's one of those things where it's like, it's a $50 permit to go do it. No big deal. You know, roll it into your bid if you're doing this as a job. But it's like big time fines if you've done it and you didn't get the permit. Mostly just because they need to keep up with the documentation. And while I am not obviously a fan of government intervention, this is one of those times where, like, I'm kind of okay with some of my tax money going to repair creek banks. I'm more okay with that than providing endless foreign aid, or, you know, lining somebody else's pockets that doesn't know me or care about me. So while I still think probably the best solution is private enterprise, that's the situation we have right now. So if that's something that interests anybody, just shoot me an email at strongrootsresources@gmail.com, and I can send you all the links and talk further about it. And like I said, I'm gonna I want to make a full-blown video on this. I've done just a little quick one, but this is worth you know, a good 25 minutes of explanation. So that was how I spent my Saturday, and it was really nice. You know, got to talk with people where there were a lot of master gardener types, and there are a couple of the kind of permaculture people and just outdoor nature people. And these are almost always my folks. We can always find something in common. So it was a good day. It's a little windy, but it was sunny, and we just, we had a really nice time. So if your area offers something like that, it's worth it to consider it. So Saturday was a little long, but very productive. So that led to me thinking about the workshop we did, had me thinking about property that is essentially downhill of our land that used to be in the family and it no longer is. And it's a beautiful piece of property. It's several acres, and it's got kind of like not exactly old growth, but you know, new, like older succession growth of tulip poplar and things like that, and a lot of big mature deciduous trees, and a spring with a pump head still there, and two ponds, and like a little stream that runs between the smaller pond and the bigger pond. This is somewhere I grew up playing all the time, and it's just always been a very special place to me. Well, about, I don't know, a decade or so ago, the the uncle of mine who, let's just say there things happened with the way my grandmother's estate was handled with the power of attorney when she was incapacitated and later after she died, where things got real screwball and real sideways, and we lost access to that property. It was sold. It was sold to a gentleman who lives out of state, and he comes. Sorry, guys, Mama's texting me. And he comes down a few times a year, and will kind of check on things. But right now, his kids live in the house, and then this lower property has pretty much just been nothing's been built down there. It's been cleared a couple of times. They ran a forestry mulcher through it because it was admittedly pretty stinking overgrown. They ran a forestry mulcher last year, and I have been down there a few times with going, like, it obviously runs alongside the road, and I go down there periodically with big trash bags and pick up the garbage because people suck and they throw garbage out, and I don't want it going into the creek, and I need to go do it again as soon as I can fit it in. But when I had all these cuttings at the class, they gave us a bunch of cuttings, and I really don't have soil up here that stays wet, with the exception of the my little mulch pit where the gray water discharges. And we've got Hippocrates Garden, thank you for coming in, and Digger, thank you guys for coming in. I appreciate it. I wanted a place to get these cuttings in the ground in an actual creek bank and beside a pond. So I got a hold of the guy who owns the property because my brother talks to him from time to time. They're in communication, and explained who I was and what I wanted to do. I said, I'm just asking your permission to put these shrubs. I said they are native shrubs to help propagate these, because I would be able to use these on future projects. And he was very kind, and he gave me permission, so I did. So I went down there and I got them parked in the soil there, and I'll just kind of periodically go back and check on them. And I've got them in an area where, in the event that there is further disturbance, because there is a chance that this property could get sold to a place that's basically a guy owns a parcel next door, and he may try to put a few residences in there in a low density development. Now, I don't know how much this could be developed with the wetlands there, but things happen, and I'm trying to deal with not having control over that. So I put them in a spot where I felt like they were least likely to be messed with. And if I see any signs of disturbance starting down there, I will probably just go get them back out again, and I will figure out something else. I also have a handful of great customers who have creekside property, and I'm sure I could plug them in there and, trade with them, or, provide them cuttings as well. But I just needed a place for these shrubs to hang out. So I was happy that that went over well, because I'd never actually spoken with this fellow before. And obviously, I could just go down there and do it, and more than likely nobody would be the wiser, since there's no residences down there, and there's no you can't see the property from where the house is. But I would personally not like people roaming on my property without my permission, so I did the courtesy. So that's all good. And I'll let you guys know how those plants do. We could wind up with some really beautiful stuff. And I am really getting more and more into plant propagation as a side hustle, with the kind of sort of thought about doing a native plant and food forest based nursery, edible landscaping based nursery, as I get a little bit older and want to be home more and travel a little bit less. So any little thing I can get started like that's kind of working in the background is beneficial. So I think I did that Sunday. That was what I went down and did on Sunday. And it was another beautiful day. Saw a cool little garden snake down there, a little black and yellow striped garden snake. It's really starting to warm up. And actually, when I'm down there, I rarely go down in the summertime, because I'm pretty sure there's probably copperhead nests everywhere. So I only tend to go down there in the cooler weather. Um, by by Monday and Tuesday, I just had I was starting to get a little backed up on correspondence, and I had a few pages of notes to finish for my latest consulting clients. So I pretty much leashed myself to the desk for those 2 days and just pounded all that out. I would take a break for 15 minutes and go work on starting some seeds or go, putter in the garden for a little bit. But I just really had to get that stuff. I hate having stuff like that hanging over my head. So that was just kind of nice. It was one of those things where I had like a literal stack of notifications piled up in my calendar of little things like that needed to be done. And it was a relief to just get all those checked off. One of the things that was on that list that I got done was a presentation on the basics of pollinator gardens that I'm going to do for a group. You guys have probably heard of the Daughters of the American Revolution. One of my clients is a member of that, and she asked me if I would come give a presentation later this month, now in March, about that. And it's just like a 15 or 20 minute thing with plenty of time for questions after. So I threw together a pretty good little, set of slides with almost, like if you kind of wanted to do a plug and play style design for a garden, especially for your smaller spaces. So I had fun. For doing a slides presentation, I had fun doing it because everybody knows I don't like sitting at the computer. But I'm looking forward to giving that to them and seeing what kind of feedback. And of course, it's always cool if I land a couple of small jobs off of that. That is always a nice bonus. But talking about plants and critters is kind of my jam. So I'm there for it. So Pinky's spoken at the Chattanooga chapter. Well, cool. Yeah, my lady Liz, she's just, she's one of these transplants from New York who actually pays attention to the local culture and works to adapt herself to it. So I like her a lot, and I appreciate her invitation. Oh, coffee break. All right. Lisa, if you're talking about Bruce, that is a fellow who I need to talk with more. His nursery, I think it's called Direcraft. I've actually got him on my list of suppliers for my customers. I always give them, anytime I do design work, I give them an ever-growing list of especially like local suppliers who can do things, who can help. Basically, when it becomes hard to find certain stuff, or folks just don't want the same old, I try to find people who are hyper local to provide those kind of plants. And plant propagation with the right setup can be pretty lucrative. So I will I'm just going to keep working on plugging in, cuttings and seeing how things do. The time investment is pretty low. Now that I've got my little greenhouse down here squared away, I'm going to build off the back of it, which will be shaded except for the earliest part of the day. So that's going to be the best place to let things root that don't need to bake in the sun. So anything I can do to just be outside puttering is high on the list of priorities, especially if it makes a little bit of money. And the nice thing about propagating cuttings is once you've made your initial investment, and most of the stuff we can use, recycled pots from the nurseries, and you can make your own soil. I make my own from the compost and whatnot. That's the way to go. So Hippocrates says one of the things I was hoping for to be doing more is propagation. I have a lady whom I was able to propagate her hardy hibiscus for her last year. She wants as many as I can do this year. That is really cool. I should say, I think you're south of me. Up here, hardy hibiscus readily seeds itself. So I have a number of them that I just dug out from under customers' other trees. Like I was literally told to weed eat them down, and I just pulled them out instead. And most of them survived. They're real. When you move them in May, when they're coming up, they're real tender and they don't have a lot of root structure. So you really have to pay attention to keeping them well watered. But yeah, I love hardy hibiscus. You get so many different colors. The butterflies love it. You know, the flowers are medicinal. That's just one of my very favorites. And the two that we have up here in the upper garden came from our friend Melissa White out in Waverly, Tennessee. I just dug two of them out of her yard because she has a whole hedgerow of them. So yeah, that's definitely one of my favorites. And some people around here call them trash trees, and they don't like them. And I guess because I don't think people realize how big they get, and they plant them right next to the house, and they'll get 20 feet tall. So with sometimes even a 20-foot spread. So it's, keep in mind how big those guys can get. But yeah, I love the hardy hibiscus. Also around here, some people call them Rose of Sharon. So either one of those beautiful, beautiful plants, and very tolerant of our weather extremes. They seem to be drought resistant once they're established, and they're real slow to bud out. So I've never seen an example of one getting nipped from our bizarre winter/springtime. We've got, oh yeah, and I did do a podcast. It's not out yet, but I did do a podcast with Lonnie from Greener Postures. That's Postures, Greener Postures. Also, Preserving Today is her website. She's a real cool lady. She is on the West Coast, and we have quite a bit in common. I've been listening to some of her shows, and she recently said that she was looking to talk to people with similar interests. So I emailed her, and we set up a date, and we had a great conversation. And I will post that around when it gets out. I think she said she was about 2 or 3 weeks behind, or had a backlog of 2 or 3 weeks to get out. So I'm looking forward to getting that out there. We got a little more, not necessarily spicy, but in some of my content, I know I tend to toe the line a bit in terms of my opinions on certain matters. And I didn't do that quite so much with her. So for those who don't know my true feelings on things, they're out now. But most people at this point have either figured that out, or they just don't care because I just don't focus on it very much. I'd rather get stuff done and achieve things and help people do the same. So yesterday was a big chore day. So it was warm, which was nice, a little bit windy, but it was warm and it was dry. And I had one of those days where I had, 3 or 4 things on the list. And then once I got going, I just didn't stop. And it often seems like the opposite happens. Like I will start to do a task, and then I'll realize, well, I don't have the tool I need, or I can't find it. Or, something is stuck, or something else of greater importance pops up first. Well, none of that happened. And it was just like checking off things like crazy, just like I did on my desk work day a couple of days before. So I went and dug out one of the big rain tank totes, one of the big 275-gallon totes that has been stashed up in this brushy area on the other end of the property for who knows how long. And I got in there and cut all that out and tipped it over and emptied it, and actually threw it in the golf cart. Got a photo of that. Threw it in the golf cart and brought it down here and got it hooked up. So at the end of the shop now, I have rain tanks on each end, big ones instead of the little ones. And I'm going to take my smaller rain barrel and I'm going to put it down at the greenhouse and have water right there. So I just need to throw up a quick piece of fascia board and then fashion some kind of gutter apparatus. I don't have actual gutter around here right now, and I'm certainly not going to spend money on it, but I'm sure I've got something I can turn into gutter, even if it's a piece of 4-inch downspout. That'll work too. I've got a piece of vinyl downspout that I'll probably just slice into, screw it up there, and call it a day. Oh gosh, there were so many things. It was one of those where I just literally was running around all day long. I started the day with getting a new sheep paddock ready. So at this point, for a while now, through the wintertime, I've been running the sheep through all the overgrown areas. If I could get in there and cut enough of a trail to put the fence through, that's what I've been doing. So I kind of moved them a section to the northeast, more or less southeast, I guess. Not far from where they were at all, like literally like 30 feet, and fenced in. I don't know how big of an area, maybe a total of a fifth of an acre or something like that. But I got them in this wood line, which is absolutely covered in English ivy and bush honeysuckle and privet and flipping multiflora rose, all of that. So I took about an hour and a half, cut the trail, which I gotta say, I love my battery powered saw, my DeWalt saw. That has been the best tool for doing this kind of stuff, because most of what I'm cutting through is not very big at all. And it's just so nice to have something that is lightweight. I know I can get I probably get about an hour of runtime on that battery. As long as it's got some bar oil in it, it's just good to go. So that's just been that's been great. I'm not, breathing the fumes. I'm not having to wear ear protection, and it's just really something. Let me pause here for just a second. Lisa is talking about Bruce Dyercraft. I think it's Dyercraft Nursery is his website. He's got over 100 fig varieties. I've got to reach out to Bruce and find time to go visit him and just take a look at it. So that's just amazing. I think that's the coolest. For people who have that kind of the labeling is always my snag. So I will Bruce is in. Let me finish my thought real quick. Labeling's my snag. That's what I got to get better at if I'm going to start doing a whole bunch of different varieties. Right now, I pretty much have just one of thing. Like I have one kind of elderberry. I have, all that. So, Hippocrates, Bruce is in Jefferson County. He's west of us, or rather east of us. And if somebody cares to, Lisa or one of y'all cares to Google his website real quick and throw it in the notes, I'd appreciate it, because I'll lose my place otherwise. And yes, I do love the DeWalt chainsaw. It is a 10-inch bar, so it's real compact, which is extra nice, because I don't need something big when I'm all crouched down pushing my way through all this stuff. I just need something I can just buzz and go, and it's been such a good tool. So I got their fence set up and I got everybody moved over, and they've been very happy. Okay, Bruce is getting out from sort of the sticks to really into the sticks. Good for him. Got them settled. Everybody's been doing really good. Babies are looking great. And Primrose the donkey has been pretty happy, as far as I can tell. She's kind of moody, but she's a good donkey. And that was kind of my next, corner to get them in. So I'm not, and of course they're still on hay. I should add, like they're still getting hay. I'm not real sure where I'm going to take them next. I've got a couple of days to figure that out. I like having them on this hillside right now, because there's actually, I can still get in there with a chainsaw and cut more stuff down for them. And I can probably even leave them in there for 4 or 5 days, really. So we're not ready to go onto the pasture yet. The grass, it's coming in and it's looking good, and I'm happy with it. And I'm going to put out a video soon. I filmed it today, but I just need to get it uploaded about the kind of improvements I'm already seeing in the pasture. So I might zigzag them backwards, not where they were, but past where they were. And I've got 2 other brushy areas that I could run them in. I just kind of have to move them further. So I try to move them so that I am not moving them without fence for any great distance. I'm getting more confident in my abilities to move them but there's always a chance that like somebody could spook, especially, you know, Primrose, she could spook. And then I've got an animal that I can't get contained. So I might just move them back to the brushy area and just make another fence shoot of a couple of strands just to guide everybody and save potential hassle. So yeah, the folks who live in the apartments south of us can probably see the sheep right now. So I wonder if they're like, what in the world? Where did those things come from? And then today we had an awesome surprise. So I had ran a couple of errands and came back home, and I was going to do this video about what I just talked about with their new paddock, and was walking down there and just filming and talking to the camera, and saw that that we've got another lamb, the sheep that we call Dipstick, who is a brown and black female, obviously, with an all white tail. So that all white tail really sticks out. And for some reason, we just looked at her one day and just called her Dipstick, and it stuck. It's not because she's stupid. She's a very good sheep, but Dipstick it is. And she has had the absolute cutest black and white lamb. I'm not sure if it's a male or female yet, but it was the absolute. I mean, she literally just had like, she still had the placenta hanging off her back end. So that was so surprising. So the video that I have uploaded, and it's up now, has me in real time saying, "Oh, look, we've got another one." So that was so nice. I don't think it gets old. I wonder if it gets old for people who've been doing this for a long time. Maybe Lisa can tell me if it gets old when kidding season comes around. But it's just, I'm all in. I'm absolutely. I cannot at this point imagine not having the sheep. It's just been one of the best decisions we've made for this property. They've been such a good fit. So Dipstick had a baby, and I haven't been naming babies, and I'm really trying not to, but with color pattern like that, it's gonna get a name. So we'll just have to see. But there'll be more pictures soon, and it's absolutely adorable. In fact, I picked it up. She let me pick it up. Marcy had told me that these sheep are excellent mothers, and they'd never had any issues with rejection. And it had been hours at this point, and you know, it was all clean and dry and everything. And I picked it up, and it's the best, guys. I'm all about it. As for the rest of that super busy day yesterday, I got more trellis put in for what I'm going to call the loofah bed. Angel asked me many times if I would please grow some more loofah this year, and I said absolutely. And one of my foraging students last week even brought me some loofah seeds. So I set up the trellis and the bed for that, kind of building off the corner of the garden where I just kind of keep adding more infrastructure as we go. And I also spent about an hour and a half ripping out blackberry in a row that's at the end of the hop yard. So for those of you who have been up here, you know, we've got this big I don't know, however big it is, over an acre, I'd say, of a hop yard that, you know, is kind of my brother's thing. You know, we kind of work on it together some, but it's mostly his thing. And the final row on the south side doesn't really have any hops in it. There's like one variety in there that he doesn't harvest because it honestly smells like garlic. So that row has just kind of been up for grabs, but it's been amended several times over. And we've got irrigation line that'll run to it. And I double checked with him, and I said, hey, can I plant fodder trees in that row? It's already got some corkscrew willows in it, and it's got some comfrey in it. And he said, you know, all good. So it was mostly just kind of filled back up with blackberries. So I got all of that cut down and most of it pulled out. So thankfully around here, at least, if you cut the blackberry with like a not a chainsaw, that's a really bad idea. I've got like a brush blade. That's the word I'm looking for. I've got a brush blade for my weed eater, because I'm talking, I mean, these canes are big and thick. Cut all those down, you know, about a foot off the ground, and then actually they pull up relatively easily. They're not deeply rooted at all. They just make runners everywhere. So I got almost all of that ripped out. I'm going to dig that out a little bit more and kind of build a swale into this. It's already kind of mounded up, so I'm just going to probably just dig more with a broad fork, flip the sod on the downhill side, and plant that swale berm with the fodder trees that I ordered from Nick Ferguson, which I'm not sure when they're supposed to be here. He'll ship them at the right time, of course, but I wanted to go ahead and have some prep work squared away for that, just in case they show up unexpectedly. Because I think I got it was a lot. It was a bigger package. It's a lot of trees. So that's going to be another one of my offerings is, this year I'll get the fodder trees established, and then I'll be able to plant them for other people as part of their grazing plan, or at the bare minimum, just keep propagating them for our stuff. In the event that the grasses don't do well with the way the droughts and everything can be, I can easily keep these trees irrigated with rainwater. I've got a place I can put another tank in and have drip irrigation, and that will let me keep those trees in good order, and I'll have another source of food. And not just food, but we know it's high protein, high quality fodder. And if I really get it on the ball in the next couple of years, I would like to try my hand at making silage, small scale, but making silage. So I'm excited about that. Kind of digging in that soil. The soil looks really good. Pulled out a bunch of rocks. I'm sure there's 10,000 more that need to be pulled out, but that was nice to make the steps on that. So you could see how I was literally still going at dark. At one point, it was sun was going down, and I came inside real quick to check in with Angel, and I said, "Hey, I'm pushing until I can't see anymore out here because I'm on a roll and everything's going right, and I just feel like I need to keep at it." Hippocrates has been to Hawkins County. It's a beautiful area. I love it up there, but you go up there and you feel like you've gone back in time. I've got some friends who have built yurts up there, and they're putting together an intentional community, and it is just gorgeous, and I love it. And anywhere you go where you don't get cell service anymore is actually kind of nice. So beautiful, beautiful area, and we want it to stay that way. That's for sure. I think that was the bulk of my big day of a million chores. I did a dump run earlier in the week and propane, and filled a big propane tank. So I kind of decided to see how far a full 100-pound propane tank would get us for hot water, and the answer is about a year and a half. So I pay about $90 for a year and a half of hot water. So pretty good because it's just the two of us, but we do a lot of dishes and I take a lot of showers. So that was kind of a good metric to have on hand. And I also keep a 40-pound tank spare. And then I've got a few 20-pounders, which is something I want to do more of. In terms of fuel storage around here, I've kind of piecemealed it together. Since I'm not doing as much, actually really any lawn maintenance anymore for profit, I'm going to start paring down. I've got all kinds of odds and end gas tanks or gas cans and that sort of thing. I've got little 1 gallons, and I've got some big 5 gallons and stuff. And Angel hates wrangling the 5 gallons, and I don't blame her. So I am going to probably pare down to a couple of easy, sturdy, manageable 1 gallons, and then everything else is going to get I will get the jerry cans, because everything else is plastic and it's breaking down. And to be honest, I haven't bought most of these. I find gas cans all the time, all the freaking time. Find them on the road, and I test them and make sure they don't leak, and then I keep them. So I've got all these odds and ends with weird spouts and stuff. So I really want to have everything very consistent and have a more regular rotation cycle. I mean, I do rotate stuff, but at this point, we're really just going through for most of my fuel use now is for the generator, and it's not a whole bunch, but we do, use it from time to time, like today. And for there's just the equipment here on the land, and then periodically I'll rotate in through a vehicle, so we always have fresh gas. So I like I was actually looking at the jerry cans at Harbor Freight today, and they're about $60 a piece. So we'll see. Might just start, maybe just buy one every other month and just start working them back in, because they take up such a smaller footprint too. Uh, looking for those. Tim wants to know, what do I use to seed for grass? Been on the hunt for some native blends for like little blue stem and broom sedge. Okay. Well, I'm going to give a Jack answer. It depends. So, if you are wanting to graze, I would avoid broom sedge. So broom sedge actually has very little nutritional value. They will eat it a little bit when the new shoots come up. Now, it's a very pretty grass. It's got a nice golden color, but it actually doesn't have much value. Now, blue stem is a better choice there. If you want to look at native seed mixes for pastures, I will put it in here. It is roundstoneseed.com probably. They can actually custom blend you stuff. So that's, now I haven't seeded these pastures yet because I wanted to go a full year of grazing and see what emerges on its own before I spend money on seed and all the prep work that's required to have seed really take well. But that is one of the best for pasture grade seeds. And also just pay attention to, like, if you're just trying to cover the ground, that's one thing. But if you think you're going to have grazers in your future, you're probably better off with some mixes that has like some nitrogen fixing qualities, and some clover or something like that. And then maybe even short season varieties like a winter rye that'll, grow and then die back, but feed the soil. So just kind of ask yourself your why and what may be coming in the next few years. But it's funny, I was actually talking to my brother today about seeding and because we cleared a little bit of land. I'll get into that in a minute. And he did a job years ago, he said, for a customer who wanted a wildflower meadow. And this is not one of those things that you can just throw seeds down and expect it to really take, especially an old cow pasture the way we have around here, and clay soil, high alkalinity, lots of slope and that sort of thing. And he, like, the guys who work at Roundstone, you can actually schedule a phone call with them and you can give them all kinds of relevant data and they will help you make the best choices for whatever you're trying to do. So that's customer service and you can't go wrong. So that's going to be the one that I recommend. And that's who I'll go with when I'm ready to try some seeding. So like I said, we actually did a little bit of clearing work. So, periodically my brother and I, who lives here on the land too, will kind of talk about, what we want to do to make things better around here. And, he knows I'm into the grazing thing. He knows I'm into the permaculture thing. And he's not ignorant about this stuff. Like he's pretty well versed and he's learning more all the time since he has to listen to me talk about it for the last 4 years. And we were talking about, we've got this 10-acre lot that Angel and I are on. About the lower third of it is completely impenetrable with calorie pear, brambles, and there might be a few trees worth keeping in there. There's some walnuts towards the bottom of the hill, but it's pretty much a mess. And I've tried to get in there from time to time. I've cut trails here and there with a brush saw, but it's pretty terrible. It's pretty miserable to deal with. And so Tyler and I were talking and he said, well, we could rent a bush hog attachment for his bobcat, for the skid steer. And I could just get in there and just start, making paths, and we'll just, whatever we can't push down with that, we'll cut down and just go from there. And I said, I'm all about it. And we scheduled a day. He told me how much he needed to rent the equipment. He said, if you pay for the equipment, I'll do the runtime and I'll buy the diesel. Can't beat that. Because I want this, I want access back to this land because I want to eventually get the sheep on it. I want a mix of silvopasture and I want to start restoring ecosystem, because this is what has happened when you let land go fallow, and it's very steep. So Dad was no longer comfortable bush hogging it, which is fine. I'm not mad at anybody, but I want something different. And so we kind of made a plan, and then yesterday, while I was out roaming around the place getting my stuff done, Tyler got out on the Bobcat, and he said, "Hey, I'm just going to get down here and kind of see what it looks like." He just had the bucket on. We didn't have an attachment or anything, and he got in there and he just started pushing over these pears, and some of these pears are 20 or 30 feet tall. He said they're all root suckered. They're not even really tap rooted. They were just pushing right over. So probably in like 20 minutes, he had about 2,000 square feet cleared. Now it's a little bit rough, and of course, we've exposed the soil, but we're also getting ready to have everything. Like, it made sense to start pushing these pears down before they bud out and start seeding themselves everywhere. So he said, I don't think we even really need to rent a bush hog. I think we just take, a couple of afternoons and just keep pushing this stuff over. And, I'll make some brush piles. We kind of designated some areas where this stuff can go and just let it decompose. I mean, I'm willing to sacrifice, even a couple of quarter-acre spots down there of brush piles, which serve their own purpose in an ecosystem anyhow. And to just be able to open this stuff back up again and be able to get in there and see what's going on. So that's the plan. So we've got another work day reserved at the end of this coming week. And, I told him, I said, I don't think there's anything down there that I would be sad if it went away. For the longest time, I've kind of just been treating it like a zone 5, but now that I've got the sheep and now that I have an idea of how much they eat and how often they need to be moved, I realized I've got to reclaim this land down here if I'm going to keep doing this at my current stocking numbers of sheep, especially because they replace themselves very quickly. The losses we had in the summer, the 5 that died from the barber pole worm, we're back replaced. We have, the 5 lambs. So that's Marcy wasn't kidding when she says they multiply quickly. So there is also this bottom, I think it's about 4 acres as best as I can tell. This bottom 4 acres, about probably an acre of it is taken up with white pines that were planted back in the day by my great-grandfather. This was a thing TVA was telling people at Tennessee Valley Authority, one of the utility providers here, was telling people to plant these trees really close together for erosion management. Now, I have no way of knowing if that land was actually eroding at the time because it wasn't alive then. And I can't find any photos, but he planted them. And these trees get, I don't know, 150 feet tall. They get really stinking tall, and then they just fall over. And so they've been falling over for years. And as the canopy has opened back up again, because most of these trees don't even have any limbs until you're 75 feet up, we're basically seeing succession, but we're also seeing big areas where these massive trees are down. I'm talking about trunks that are, 4-6 feet in diameter. Some of these are absolutely massive. And they're white pines, so they're not really good for lumber. They're the way the limbs come out like in concentric circles makes them not great for lumber harvest. So pretty much what I have is a big area that's just going to be biomass that I'm not going to be able to do too much with because I don't even go down there when it's windy. It's too dangerous. It's not unusual for me just to be standing up here on a windy day and hear crack and see another one of them go over. And fingers crossed, but there are some that are, if they go over, part of them is going to be in the apartment complex next door. I don't think there's any close enough to actually hit a building, but it will not be on my property anymore. So that's one of those things where I'm not gonna dig on the man whose property I live on now, who bought this property to support his family and his everybody who came after and his descendants. But the way those trees were planted probably shouldn't have been planted like that. Or maybe they just didn't tell him how big they get, or they got bigger than they expected. But it's kind of it's one of those, not exactly a type 1 error, but it's a challenge to deal with that. It's too steep and they're too big to deal with. And it would be very expensive to have them all removed. Plus, I mean, there is some habitat down there, so I don't want to just wreck it. It's kind of this constant balancing act of, what choice makes sense here. And, that portion of the property is still something that I am having to ponder a little bit longer. But we did get, like I said, a couple thousand square feet, I'd say, opened up, maybe even a little bit more than that. I mean, you can do a lot of work in a hurry with a machine. That's for sure. So we'll just kind of keep plugging away on that, and at least, not have this absolutely thorny, impenetrable area that can't possibly be addressed because a human can't get in there on foot without getting absolutely shredded. And you certainly can't get a tractor in there between the steep and the fact that those pears will wreck your tires on a tractor. So something with tracks, very handy. Very, very handy. Oh, guys, I think I have pretty much covered what I had on the this week. Oh, no, but my segment. I have my segment. Yes. So for those who are new to the live, I have kind of an ever-evolving segment where I have to talk about something that has made me sigh, that maybe used to would have angered me or aggravated me, but this time around, we call it This Week in. And this normally happens when I go out to the dump or to run errands or something like that, and I got all of my errands done, and I thought, well, man, I didn't get anything for my segment, but I did at the last minute. At the very last minute. So when I went out to Ace and had my propane refilled, so I've got a 100-pound propane tank, which is actually way more than 100 pounds at this point, full of propane, a year and a half worth of propane, strapped to the trailer 4 times because I'm paranoid. And, for those who don't know, my driveway comes off of a 4-lane highway with a speed limit of 45, where everybody normally goes about 65. And our driveway is used by more than just me and my immediate family. There are, our other neighbors, and it's a shared easement at this point. So I'm coming down. I got my turn signal on. I got traffic bearing down on me, and I got somebody in front who has decided to turn into the driveway. And not only have they turned into the driveway, but they decide to stop after being about 10 feet into the driveway. And I'm looking at my rearview mirror, and people are coming. They're coming fast, and it's not just like 1 or 2 where they can go around me. It's like this massive traffic. And I am not normally a honker, but I leaned on the horn. For whoever this was. I didn't recognize the car. It could have been a DoorDash person for all I know. And I'm sorry, DoorDash person. But I leaned on the horn in such a way that they, you could tell that it surprised them, and they absolutely smashed the gas pedal to the floor. But they got the hell out of the way. And I got pulled into the driveway because I could just see, I'm going to get tagged. I'm going to get my trailer smashed, and my propane's going to go to the moon. So that was one of those moments where, this used to be a little windy 2-lane road, and it's not anymore. And in some ways, it's probably safer than it used to be, because we used to have to pull out on a blind curve, and that's not the case anymore. Now you just try to get turned into the driveway without getting rear-ended by a massive traffic. So that's what I got for you guys. I'm going to be helping out at Vuck Farm. That's Vuck with a V, by the way. Tomorrow, we're going to help them rebuild a high tunnel. They had some high tunnels wrecked by the weather back in the snowy season. So we're going to run some drivers and have a good time, put some ladders up, and get their high tunnel back up. It was pucker factor. Absolutely, it was trying to pull. It's often like that. And there have been times where I just don't feel right about turning into the driveway at that moment. And I go to the cut through and pull a Yui and make another attempt. And if I'm going west and I'm pulled into the cut through, which fortunately, it's a full size, I can fit trailer and all, I will wait, because there is a light about 1/10 of a mile down. I will wait until that light has stopped everybody, or at least is slowing them down. And then I will go. So I have plenty of time to make that turn, because our driveway cutout isn't very big either. So it's really easy to curb it. I don't want to pop a tire or tire belt. So yeah, progress. It's great. It's great. So anyhow, yeah, I'm going to go help TJ and Sarah out and some other folks get their high tunnel set back up again. And I'll let you guys know how that goes. It's always, I've been trying to get down there for ages. So when I finally had the chance, I jumped at it, and I'm going to, we'll probably work for about 4 hours, and then we'll do a tour, and I think they're going to feed us. I'm sure they're going to feed us, of course. So I'm really looking forward to that. Vuck Farm, VUCK, and Fans is either their Facebook page and group, and they are a biodynamic farm. So if you are into Rudolf Steiner and biodynamics, that's the art that they practice down there. So look them up. You'll find them really interesting. TJ and Sarah are some super cool people. They're part of our regenerative group here locally. So thank you guys for tuning in. I enjoyed hanging out with you. Angel's got some kind of awesome meal that she's just about done prepping. So I'm going to go stuff my face and look for a couple of new videos coming out this week. And if you guys need anything, you know where to find me. And we'll catch you next time.